His television career began in the early 1950s with the Camel News Caravan.
Last night at Wheeling, West Virginia, brought the meeting between Eisenhower and Nixon and a high peak of emotion that brought Nixon to tears.
Chet Huntley, NBC News, New York.
And David Brinkley, NBC News, Washington.
For 14 years, he and Chet told the nation what happened each day. There were no rules for television news. They made it up as they went along, and often through some very trying times.
Conflict is the stuff and substance that Washington lives on, as pervasive around here as plankton is in the sea, where whales live on it and float in it. But when we looked at the brink of war, we all looked at it together, and the result is a kind of mood I haven't seen around here in a long time.
We are now told that the president was shot once in the head. Today is John F. Kennedy Jr.'s 3rd birthday. It has always seemed doubtful that Congress could actually bring itself to impeach the president, but since Saturday night, it has seemed they might actually face up to it.
It's no secret that his true love is politics. He's covered every convention since the conventions went on TV, even when he and his colleagues weren't welcome.
What do you say? I'm in custody. I formally say that this is a disgrace, that the press should be allowed and the radio and television should be allowed to do their work at a convention on television. This is John Chancellor somewhere in custody.
And what they might charge him with, I don't know. It couldn't be vagrancy because I know he's got money in his pocket.
And over the years, at one time or another, they've all come to talk with David Brinkley.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
There have been times as well when it fell to David to explain what the effort was all about.
Every time there is any kind of ugly or depressing public event, say a spasm of urban arson and looting and so on, I get letters by the hundreds or by the thousands saying, in effect, why do you glorify and dignify this kind of unspeakable conduct? Well, the answer, of course, is so obvious it is almost embarrassing to have to give it. It is, of course, that we put it on because we think the audience would like to know about it or ought to know about it, and certainly not because we like it or approve it or advocate it. I take some pride in being a part of broadcast journalism, television and radio, and some pride in having had a tiny part in bringing it to where it is today.
We should all have such a tiny part. There's one thing about having been in the business as long as David has. When you get a good story, and we don't necessarily mean a news story, you get as much mileage out of it as you can. Watch closely.
I was in the Washington airport the other day going somewhere, and a lady came up to me and said, aren't you Chet Huntley? And I said, yes. Partly because it didn't make a damn bit of difference. I felt if I'd run into Abbott and Costello, I wouldn't have known which was which, or I thought it mattered much. Second of all, she would have been embarrassed and would have apologized and explained and so on, and I would have missed my airplane. So I said yes. And she said, well, I think you're pretty good, but I don't know how you put up with that idiot Brinkley. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And on they went for 14 good, strong years, until that last night in 1970.
Well, from now on, when somebody stops me in the street and says, aren't you Chet Huntley? I have an answer. It is no man. He is the one out west on the horse. I really don't want to say it, but the time has come, and so, for the last time, good luck and good night, Chet.
Good luck, David. And good night for NBC News.
With the dawn of the 1980s, the welcome mat was out at ABC News, and David changed horses.
No, I am really happy to be here, looking forward to it, and if anyone has any questions that I can answer, I'll be glad to do so, and if I can't, I'll be evasive. I haven't spent all these years in Washington for nothing.
From ABC News, This Week with David Brinkley.
Sunday morning television would never be the same again. The wonderful thing about giving even the thumbnail version of his distinguished career is that nothing really need be said. Just listen to Brinkley's inimitable style and wit.
Finally, I am pleased to report there is one more thing we do not have to worry about. The Internal Revenue Service has sent a report to professionals in the tax field, people who have to know about this kind of thing,
a report saying that in the event of war and nuclear attack on this country, the collection of taxes will continue. It says that within 30 days after the last nuclear blast, the IRS will be all set up to assess, collect, and record tax payments, and ready to issue, as necessary, new forms on how to keep your taxes paid during the emergency. It says in the areas of the country hardest hit, delinquent taxpayers will be given a little extra time. Otherwise, taxes will be collected as usual. For those who are worried about this, if there are any, worried that in a nuclear attack there would be nobody there to take their tax payments, the answer is they'll be there. For all of us at ABC News, until next Sunday, thank you.